One of the things I feel like people who are newly learning consent and boundaries need a lot of repetition. And if just because I feel like we're at a pretty comparable level of awareness of consent and boundaries, we still kind of have to say it out loud, because I notice myself watching other people's videos and going, did they ask for consent for that? Like, how is this happening right now?
Totally.
You know, and yeah, I just feel like it's a good idea for it always to be crystal clear for the recipients of our videos to also know that we're being really mindful of each other's comfort levels. And, you know, there's videos that don't go up because I'm not quite ready for anyone else to see them yet, even though you're like, oh my God, that's so good, you better put it out. Or, you know, you have ones that you're like, yeah, I don't know if I want. I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful, but okay. You know.
Yeah, because we have things that we're not ready to share yet, and that's
Totally.
okay too, while we're practicing being more fully authentic.
And it's a very subtle practice to appreciate and not push each other's boundaries around. Like, just because I think, you know, this one singing video, like, I think should be live immediately. If you haven't had a chance to look at it yet, you aren't sure that you want it to, it would be so inappropriate of me to go ahead and post that without you, you know, like saying, and making it clear that it's one I can post.
And I feel like we both had those experiences in the past where friends have met well, people have met well, but it's almost like this forcing. And that forcing is just, it's damaging. It can be, it's like, my wall goes up sometimes. I'm like, I don't feel safe, even though I'm like, no, but I also want that encouragement, but I'm working through something. So I love that we just give each other consent, where it's like, okay, yes, no.
Right.
And then it's like, cool, like I can share with you how it impacts me, and it's your choice, and I want to honor that. You know, like we're exercising those muscles with each other.
Exactly. At very subtle levels.
Yeah.
Which I think is important, because it helps make it easier when it's at the bigger levels, or with strangers or new friends.
Oh, that feels juicy. I love that. I love when we can talk about like kind of coming to and not like negotiating, but like just talking about having things in the open that are normally many a times not talked about. So consent boundaries, and it doesn't have to be like a sexual relationship. That's a big one.
No, it's everywhere.
It's any friendship. So here's an example of working through friendships and creating ways that will make it like we want to help each other step into edges, but we're also like, let's make it comfortable and easeful and fun. Like if we're constantly pushing each other, or like, come on, like we grew up with a kind of
too much force. Too much force. There's a pushing the boundaries like in a safe, appropriate, grounded, like healthy way, and there's a pushing someone in the pool in the deep end when they don't know how to swim yet, and they literally think they're gonna die.
Like that, whether they will die or not, whether somebody else thinks it's serious or not, what that person is experiencing, this is a big one.
The truth for that.
That's their truth. And their body will respond that way. So that's a big one of like, okay, like if I push you in the deep end of the pool, your body's going to go into fight or flight. Whereas somebody else who doesn't have that same fear, or is reacting a bit differently, isn't going to have the same reaction. So you could have something.
They're going to be like, that was awesome. That was the best thing you could have done for me.
Exactly. That's why it's different. Everybody responds differently to interactions, stimuli, traumas, whatnot. And I think that's a big one we have to recognize, because I've definitely got it before. Like, that's not a big deal. It's like, well, to me it is. And that's my truth. And I want that to be honored. Like, oh wow, maybe I can't relate, but I hear you. Like that could be a big one too if we're in different spaces. So I love that. Oh,
and I think so another big piece about, so there was an important couple of words you just said.